For my 20th birthday in Montreal, my cousin and I decided to cook dinner together. Not one dish, not two, 10. 10 Chinese and Vietnamese dishes we had never cooked before. It was the beginning of September 93, my fourth and final month in Canada, where I had been staying with relatives. I had just returned from a visit to Poland, my foodie aunt in Burlington. During that trip, she took me sightseeing around Ontario and to several wonderful eateries. Once, we even drove 100 kilometers one way just to eat in the best Chinese restaurant in the area. I still remember that dinner. It was probably the moment when the thought first appeared to cook something ambitious for my birthday. I was really excited about it. Not so much about the guest or the party itself, but about the sophisticated menu my 30-year-old foodie cousin and I had planned. She already loved Asian cuisine, and I was just beginning my own tasting journey. Chinese, Vietnamese, Korean, and Japanese. The last of those quickly became a new love that has stayed with me ever since. We wanted to make something special. The idea of spending 2 full days in the kitchen together felt electrifying. Planning the menu took much longer than it would today. There was no internet, no easy access to recipes, no ready-to-print ingredient list. And we spent hours leafing through every Asian cookbook we could find. I was fascinated by the pictures of dishes I have never seen before in my life. Poland had only just begun to change after the long communist era. At that time, there was still hardly any restaurant serving anything other than Polish food. In fact, Pizza Hut was one of the first foreign chains to open there that very same year. Most of the ingredients and spices we planned to use felt completely exotic to me at the time. Kaffir lime leaves, fish sauce, tamarind, lemongrass, and many others. After several days of planning, we finally had a meticulous cooking schedule and a very long shopping list. 2 kilos of shrimp, 1 large octopus, rice paper, glass noodles, vegetables, and countless spices. I still remember going to the Greek district to buy the seafood and being shocked that the shrimp were gray. Our next stop was Jean Talon Market, where I often went with my cousin for her weekly grocery shopping. I loved that place. Colorful fruit and vegetables everywhere, cheese counters, Italians selling marinated olives and sun-dried tomatoes, and freshly baked focaccia with rosemary or garlic. The smell of warm bread alone was enough to make you hungry. My aunt almost had a heart attack when we came back home, with bags full of ingredients and a collection of rather slimy sea creatures. She was much more on the healthy eating side than on the savoring food side, and I don't remember her spending hours in the kitchen the way her foodie daughter did. Fortunately, my cousin and her husband lived in a separate apartment upstairs, so my aunt didn't have to witness the chaos we were about to create. And chaos it was. I had not fully realized how many shrimp 2 kilos actually meant, let alone that each one had to be peeled. That job was not my favorite, but it still wasn't as bad as removing the intestines. That part was truly disgusting, even though I later learned it was done mainly for aesthetic reasons. Thinking back, it felt a little like being on a Baba Gump shrimp boat, just indoors. And that was only the beginning. Day 1 was all about preparation, chopping, slicing, mixing, and marinating. We had recipes written on separate pieces of paper and stuck all around the kitchen walls, each one numbered and labeled. Despite the initial shrimp disaster, everything was surprisingly well organized. The kitchen looked almost like a small factory. It was a hot day at the beginning of Indian summer. The windows were wide open, yet a mixture of smells filled the apartment and probably drifted into the neighborhood as well. Garlic, lemongrass, and the unmistakable scent of steamed basmati rice. All burners on the hob were lit, vegetables sizzling in one pan, octopus boiling in a large pot, shrimp simmering with chili flakes in another. We were laughing, tasting, seasoning, and occasionally taking a sip of chilled white wine. A perfect cooking companion. Most of the dishes were seafood based, although we prepared a few vegetarian options as well. Fresh spring rolls with homemade hoisin sauce, spicy Korean octopus, glass noodles with shrimp and vegetables, and deep fried sesame shrimp balls. By the end, the large gray marble table in the dining room looked rather impressive. We were completely knackered and incredibly proud of what we had created. It wasn't just fun to be a sous chef and spend time with my cousin in the kitchen as an adult. It was also a deeply rewarding experience. I arrived in Canada still a teenager with no particular expectations, and I left as a young woman newly inspired by something I had never imagined before. 2 days in the kitchen, 10 dishes, and for the first time, cooking actually felt like fun.